Okay. So I'm just gonna start now. Hi, I'm Aiyanna, and today I'm going to be interviewing Janelle. So I found Janelle through her podcast, Girl Talk with J.Belle. Hi,
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well as can be in this pandemic.
What have you been up to?
Well, I've actually been on leave for the past 2 months. I had surgery in July. And so, with that, I decided to take some time and start working on my third season of my podcast, which is coming out in October. I just finally set a date. So, it's October 9th, and I'm going to have some really great guests on. And then I met this really cute little girl that lives in New York City, and I got to talk with her and learn about her and kind of help her get her podcast started. Oh, that's you, girl. How you doing? I'm just messing with you.
Today, I'm going to be interviewing you on some questions to get to know you better. So, yeah. So, the first question is, how was education an important factor in becoming a radio personality?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, you know what? Education for me was an important factor in my particular situation because when I decided to go to college, I chose journalism as a major, but I wasn't sure which way I wanted to go with it. So because of the fact that I went to college, I went to HBCU, Aggie Pride, that's North Carolina A&T State University, and decided to do a radio practicum. And basically, it's a hands-on experience for a semester. They teach you everything, how to run boards, how to be on air, and how to create audio production. So I learned audio production through that. And because of the fact that I took that one class, I ended up taking more classes, one, in audio production. So that became more of my focus. And two, I actually auditioned to be on our college radio station the next semester because of two people that I worked with that was on that station. They basically begged me, or like, I shouldn't say beg, but they were like, basically, they talked me into auditioning. And I already had a relationship with the program director at the time. So I did it. I got on, and I was on college radio for 3 years, and I really worked my way up. I was on air overnights from 12 to 4 my sophomore year and my junior year. And then by the time my senior year came along, I did middays, which was called the Full Circle, and it was like from 12 to 2. And I also took on the role of promotions director, production director. It gave me many roles to learn and understand radio better. The only thing I didn't get to learn about radio is how hard and how tight that community is. They don't teach you that part. And so I would say my education is continuing because I'm still learning about the radio game every day. So, but to start, definitely college.
So, what was your favorite role in like the radio?
My favorite role is actually being on air. Um, my first real on air gig was in Las Vegas. I was on a CHR station, and I worked my butt off for a year and a half. That was the goal, was to be on air. And I didn't get to connect with listeners as much as I want to. But the biggest thing about being in radio, and the reason why on air is my favorite role, is because you get to connect with listeners. They learn to love you because you kind of become a part of their family and their everyday routine, depending on what day part you're in. So, like mornings, middays, afternoons, and nights. And if they're coming home from work at any of those times or going to work and they're listening to you, it's a huge part of the routine. So, on air is definitely, I say, my favorite part.
My next question is, what was one of your favorite interviews, like your most favorite interview?
Oh, man. Um, oh, like celebrity or just overall?
overall, like in general?
Yeah, it's hard to say because I have learned a little bit of everything from all of them. But if I really had to say, uh, my one of my favorite interviews was with Andre Harrell. He is he was a icon and legend in the music industry. He basically was like the beginning of like hip hop and R&B. He discovered Mary J. Blige and Jodeci and Puff Daddy, which I'm pretty sure you know who they are, right? The
Yeah.
founder of Uptown Records. Um, I got to interview him when I was living in Charlotte, and I was working as a online editor for an urban broadcasting company. And it's even more now. One of my favorites is because he was the hugest celebrity I got to have, and then earlier this year he passed on. And so I cherish interviews like that because literally I asked him afterwards. I was like, how do you think I did? Was it fun? Did you have a good time? He was like, you were good. You were awesome. Words like that go a long way and keeps you going. So Andre Harrell is one of my favorite.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, my next question is, what experience of being a radio personality is most important like to you?
Perfecting my craft. Um, Getting better all the time. Now, mind you, I haven't done it in a while. Unfortunately, I kind of have taken a back seat. It's kind of taken a back seat, but definitely perfecting my craft, getting better, adapting and adjusting to how radio is changing. So, learning how to do other things besides just talk on the mic, and keeping listeners entertained. You got to find other ways to entertain them too, because just like celebrities, you know, international celebrities or superstars, for a lot of people, radio personalities are celebrities to them. So they're going to always want to know what's going on in your life, which is not always the funnest thing ever. Uh, so you kind of have to learn how to connect with them and communicate with them on a regular basis. So yeah, perfecting the craft, keeping my listeners and fans or radio station listeners entertained on a regular basis, and also um, understanding social media, learning how to be a one man or one woman band. So knowing how to edit your own stuff.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
don't really have anyone else to do it for you.
Well, it's not that. It's the fact that if you do find somebody to edit for you, the fact that you already understand editing, you know what you want and you know what you're looking for.
Oh, that's
Otherwise you're giving somebody else total control over your brand and over your projects. And so they might not do it the way you want it, and that could be a huge issue too. So when you learn and know how to do these things on your own, you know what you want and you know what you're looking for. Like for me, editing is tedious, but I'll do it because I'm not going to pay somebody to do it right now. I just can't afford it. But when I do have somebody to do it, because we don't get paid a whole lot in radio. Um, but when I do find somebody to do it, I know what I'm looking for and I know what I want. And so that way we're able to collaborate more so than like, here, do whatever you want with it. So yeah, that's those are the top things for me.
my next question is, what did you write for the Jasmine brand?
Oh man. I wrote for the Jasmine brand 5 years ago. For a short time. I'll say like a couple of months. Yeah. Between probably not 2000, probably 2016, 2017. It was on a whim. I just reached out because they were looking for writers, and they gave me a test run and they loved what I did, and I wrote for them for a minute. It was really fun to do because a lot of times they would give me interviews that have already been done, and I just had to transcribe them. So I learned
Oh.
about transcription, which is very tedious too. Uh, it takes a long time to do because you're trying to listen to every word that's being said and writing it down, typing it out so that you understand, so the interview doesn't sound like reading it doesn't sound like it wasn't done right. So yeah, so I wrote for them for like a year. It was a really great experience. It taught me that I'm not really much of a writer. I'm more of a teller. Like I can speak it, but writing it down takes a lot of work. So I commend, entertainment writers because it's not no easy task.
So I think this is my last question.
Okay.
How often are you at Power 98.3?
So before the pandemic, I was there at least, well, when I very first started, I was there almost every day because I was training and I was learning a lot. And this is one of the things that if you want to go in the radio and you're part-time in any capacity, you're there as often as you can be so you can show your face so people know who you are so other opportunities come your way. So I was there all the time. Uh, Therefore, I was able to be on the air basically, I think for a minute, like during the summer, because the other guy that I worked with, who's also part-time, he did overnights. I was on there for basically the whole summer on air. Um, and then things kind of slowed down. But I still showed my face. I still went in there at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. And I do, I'm a PSA director, so I do a community affairs show that airs once a week here on all three of our stations. We have a cluster. And so I'm in there at least, I'll say about 2 times a week recording interviews with nonprofit organizations. Now with the pandemic, I haven't been in there in a while because of the fact that they're trying to lessen how many people are in there because we don't want to spread around the Rona. But yeah, I used to be I used to be in there all the time, showing my face, talking to my program director, talking to practically everybody in the building at some point or another. So they really know who I am at this point, but it doesn't hurt to show my face ever so often.
So I know that I said that was my last question, but I just have one silly question.
Okay.
If you were stranded on an island, what were 3 things that you would bring with you?
If I were stranded on the island,
Yeah.
mm, 3 items.
Yeah.
You got me with that one. Let's see. Probably. Well, if I was on a stranded island, I probably wouldn't have no service, so I can't take my cell phone. Um, ooh, probably a machete so I can cut down uh food, like the fruits and stuff if there's fruit on there. So a machete. Uh, Definitely some suntan or sunscreen because it's gonna be hot if I'm on the island. Make sure I don't burn my skin up. And then, oh my God, probably a blanket. So then I can go to sleep at night. You have mosquitoes and whatnot biting your skin up. And something to sit on during the day because the sand gonna be too hot. So yeah, so a machete, some sunscreen, and a blanket.
Wow, I wasn't expecting you to say that.
What were you expecting me to say?
Maybe like a microphone or something.
Oh, what happened am I going to use the microphone if I don't have any electricity?
That's true, but like like those wireless ones that
Hold on a second, sweetheart. I gotta decline this call. They decided to call me during the darn thing. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So you're saying you were asking me about the microphone?
yeah, because like those wireless ones that yeah.
Oh, like the karaoke microphones?
Yeah.
So,
Like you could
you
call
know,
for help.
I wasn't even thinking about that. You know what? Let me change out my list. Yes, I would have one of those wireless karaoke microphones so I can scream SOS on it so somebody can come save me. We'll switch that out with the sunscreen.
Okay.
I can do that. I can do that.
Well, thank you for answering my questions. Thank you for having me interview you.
Oh, you're welcome. I had such a good time. And you had really good questions. Really, really good questions. Let me stop this recording.